Hi guys, what we're going to look at today is the rest of the liability worksheet. So this is dealing with payroll. So we're going to be looking at some of the entries that we have for payroll. This does go along with chapter 11 in your textbook. So again, I just kind of want to go over some of this information so that you have an idea about what we are looking at as far as all of the stuff is concerned. So for payroll, what we are looking at is we have certain amounts here that are dealing with the salary. And so this is the gross amount of the payroll. What we see for all of these items, these are our deductions from payroll. And so this is those things that come out of our paycheck. They are withheld from the paycheck. If you look at your salary amount, which is the gross amount, you subtract out all the deductions, that is going to leave you with the net amount. And that net amount that you are going to be looking at is going to be how much cash you will actually be paying out for your payroll. So when we look at this particular journal entry, it's a little bit different than what we've seen, because before we just had our salary expense and then we had our cash. We weren't really looking at what was going on with all of the withholdings that was happening. The other thing that you'll see here is we just don't have one salary account. Companies do divide out salaries based on what different people are doing, and they would have subcategories lots of times for their salaries. And that's not every company, but a lot of companies do have these sub accounts that are out there. So what we would see for this particular journal entry is we would be looking at the sales salary expense, and that one would be at that $200,000 amount. We would also see office salary expense. That is looking at the $160,000. So those are our two expenses that we are looking at. The other items are deductions, and these are liabilities. And they are liabilities because we do have to pay those out to another party. When we look at federal income tax withheld, FICA taxes withheld, those are going to be paid to the United States Treasury and to the IRS. When we look at state withholdings, that gets paid to the state. Medical insurance premiums would get paid to whoever your medical provider are. So it could be Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, different places like that. And then you have your union dues that are withheld that would then have to be paid to the union. So all of those are going to be liability accounts that we are going to be looking at. So for that first one, what I look at is FIT payable, and so what that is federal income tax payable, and so that is going to be at that $90,000 mark. The other one I see here is FICA payable. Now FICA is your Social Security and your Medicare taxes that are withheld from your paycheck. It's also known as OASDI and HI. With that one, we are looking at $27,520. For our medical insurance premiums, that would be our medical insurance payable amount, and that's going to be at $7,000. And then we see our union dues, so we would have union dues payable. Again, all those are liabilities. Those do have to be paid out to someone. The net amount that you are going to see after you take out all these deductions is what you're actually going to be paying out. Those are your payroll checks, the amount that would be paid out on those. In this particular case, for this company, they are actually writing payroll checks that total the amount of $234,480. So that is the journal entry that you would be looking at when you look at the this particular problem. Now, the next problem that we are going to be looking at is going to be based on payroll taxes. And so this is the employer's side, where we're looking here at the employee and the employee's paycheck for number 5. Number 6, what it looks at is what is going on with that employee. So what is going on with that employee's paycheck? So we're going to kind of go up here and look at this information here. Alrighty. And so with this one, we see that our FICA Social Security tax is at 6.2%. That is going to be paid on a certain amount of money. So for this, we are looking at it only being paid on the first $128,400. Now that amount does change every year. It does go up some every year, but there is a cap on the Social Security that is paid in. For your FICA Medicare, there is not a cap on FICA Medicare. This is that health insurance portion of FICA. It is paid at 1.45% on that total for what we're doing gross pay or the taxable amount. For FUTA tax, that is federal unemployment tax. And right now, it is generally paid at a 0.6%. That 0.6% is after you get your credit for paying in your SUTA. So there is a 5.4% credit that is gotten. So that is at around 6% is what your FUTA tax would be. But we generally only look at 0.6 because we also pay in a SUTA. FUTA taxes are used to pay administrative expenses for the federal government as well as some of the administrative expenses for the state unemployment offices. For SUTA, that is state unemployment tax. With that, this is used to pay those unemployment claims is what most of this money is used for. For FUTA and SUTA, they are also capped on the first so much of money, and it really depends. FUTA is on the first $7,000, but for your state, it really depends on the state that you are in. South Carolina used to be at $7,000. Georgia, for as long as I've been doing this, has been at $8,500. South Carolina has moved forward down. We are at $14,000. Just trying to recap some of those time periods in which we had to borrow money from the federal government to really just help us pay our unemployment claims when unemployment was a little bit higher during the Great Recession. All right, so what I want to look at here is actually being able to calculate all of these different amounts. And so I'll look at everybody's data and I'll look and see how much they actually make. We are going to be looking at an amount for FICA Social Security. We are going to be looking at our FICA HI, which is our Medicare or health insurance. We will also look at FUTA and SUTA. Now for FUTA and SUTA, since they are capped at the same amount of $7,000, I am just going to come up with a total, one total for those different amounts. So employee data, Ken made $5,000. So Ken's amount is actually going to be taxable for all of these items because he has not reached a cap on anything. For Tim got paid $50,000, and so he has not reached the cap for FICA, and so we will be at $50,000 here. Remember, for our Medicare, it's always the full amount, and then for FUTA SUTA, it is capped at $7,000, so we would look at $7,000 for him. For Michelle, she made $145,000, so she has reached the cap as far as our Social Security is concerned. And so she is going to be at $128,400. For FICA HI, her full amount is going to be taxable, so that's going to be that $145,000. And then for FUTA SUTA, it is capped at the first $7,000. Now for Zach, we are looking at $10,000 for Social Security, $10,000 for that Medicare HI, and then his would be capped at $7,000 also for FUTA and SUTA. So if we were to take these items and we go through and we add up the total taxable amounts here, we would end up with $193,400 for Social Security. For Medicare, we are going to be at $210,000. And for our FUTA SUTA, we are going to be at $26,000. So now we need to figure out what our payroll tax expense is going to be. So for that FICA, it is paid on 6.2%, which does translate to 0.062. So for FICA Social Security, the employer's portion for these particular employees for the year is going to be $11,990.80. For HI, that is paid at 1.45% or 0.0145. And so when we look at that, that is going to be at $3,045. Now for FUTA and SUTA, we do have to look at two different amounts here because we do have a FUTA rate, and that FUTA rate is going to be at 0.006, and our other rate is going to be at 0.054 for SUTA. So for FUTA, I am looking at $156, and for SUTA, I am at $1,404. I will tell you that for SUTA rates, they do depend on the state also, and it also depends on how much unemployment your company is actually paid out. I'm actually at a 0% for my company because I don't have any unemployment claims on my company. And I just have to pay a contribution fee. So my FUTA on that $7,000 or $14,000 amount is really $5 or less is what I end up paying a year for per employee. So it really does depend on where you're at and how old your company is and things like that. But that does give us those amounts. And so if we wanted to know how much our total payroll tax expense is going to be, that's going to be $16,595.80. At this particular point, we could do the journal entry because we do know what our payroll tax expense is and we know what our liabilities are going to be for the payroll tax. So what I see for the journal entry that we are going to have in this particular case is I am going to be looking at that payroll tax expense in the amount of that $16,595.80. The rest of this would have the FICA, and I could have different accounts if I wanted to, or I could have one account. So for this FICA Social Security amount, I am at $11,990.80, and that is a payable. For FICA, and I'm looking at Medicare, that amount was at $3,045. For FUTA payable, I'm at $156, and then for my SUTA payable, I am at $1,404. And so that would be the journal entry to record the employer's expense at that point. So when I actually pay one of these, the entry, and let's just say I pay the SUTA tax. So when I pay that SUTA tax, I would have cash going out. And so what I would see is that SUTA payable would be decreasing for that $1,404, and I would be writing a check and actually paying that out. Now that wasn't part of what we're looking at, but that is what you would look at when you actually get ready to pay and what the journal entry would be. So hopefully this helps you finish up that worksheet, helps you with your homework, and will help you with anything that you see on your test.